Good morning. Welcome to Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship. I'm Reverend Paul Beckel. What's so funny? Surely not the news headlines, whatever they happen to be on this cold, dark day. I am feeling torn. My feelings about the state of the world run the gamut, the entire spectrum, from sad to dismayed to unglued to unhinged to furious. All of them. And sometimes I think that, while yes, I can and I do try to affect change within my little world, the only truly sensitive response to all the awfulness out there is to be completely depressed. But along the rocky journey toward wisdom, to know the difference between what I can change and what I cannot change, I find that ridiculousness can help. And when we can be ridiculous together, well, that's all the better. But first, let's let the sun rise on the morning. As Michael lights the chalice for us, let's say together our covenant. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service gives it life. Celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth, we work for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant.
Hi, everybody. Please stand, rise as you are able in body or spirit, and join us in singing Turn the World Around, number 1074. We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who I am? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? One another clearly. Do we one another clearly? Do we know who we are? Oh, so is life, body wa. So is life. Oh, so is life, body wa. So is life. Water make the river, river wash the mountain, fire make the sunlight turn the world around. Heart is of the river, body in the mountain, spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the spirit, truly of the spirit, only can the spirit turn the world around. Oh, so is life, body wa. So is life. Oh, so is life, body wa. So is life. Oh, so is life, body wa. So is life. Oh, so is life, body wa. So is life.
The world's a scary place right now, but I have a friend who gave me some really good advice, and I think I've got it all figured out now. And I'll have TJ help me tell you about it. This will all make sense when I am older. Someday I will see that this makes sense. One day when I'm old and wise, I'll think back and realize that these were all completely normal events. Right?
Sure.
I'll have all the answers when I'm older. Like why we're in this dark, enchanted wood. I know in a couple years, these will seem like childish fears, so I know this isn't bad, it's good. Excuse me. Growing up means adapting, puzzling out your world and your place. When I'm more mature, I'll feel totally secure, being watched by something with a creepy, creepy face. TJ, the children, they're monsters and pirates and reindeers, and this doesn't make any sense. I mean, wait, no, I got this. See, that will all make sense when I am older. So there's no need to be terrified or tense. I'll just dream about a time when I'm in my aged prime. 'Cause when you're older, absolutely everything makes sense. This is fine.
Anybody in costume or anybody who wishes they were in costume can parade now. Why don't we go counterclockwise and up and down the aisles and dance around each other when it doesn't make sense because somebody's coming straight at you, and we're gonna sing the Teddy Bears Picnic.
If you go down in the woods today, you're sure of a big surprise. If you go down in the woods today, you'd better go in disguise. For every bear that ever there was will gather there for certain, because today's the day the teddy bears have their picnic. Teddy bear, you've been good, have a treat today. There's lots of marvelous things to eat and wonderful games to play. Beneath the trees where nobody sees, they'll hide and seek as long as they please. And that's the way the teddy bears have their picnic. Picnic time for teddy bears. The little teddy bears are having a lovely time today. Watch them, catch them unawares, and see them picnic on their holiday. See them gaily gad about. They love to play and shout, they never have any cares. At 6 o'clock their mummies and daddies will take them home to bed, because they're tired little teddy bears. Go down in the woods today, you better not go alone. It's lovely down in the woods today, but safer to stay at home. For every bear that ever there was will gather there for certain, because today's the day the teddy bears have their picnic.
That's probably the first time I've ever pounded the pulpit.
How's it feel?
It feels great. I think I'm gonna do that from now on. Welcome to those of you who are here with us for the first time, and boo! Welcome to those of you who are on Zoom today. Thanks for joining us after the service today, both for those of you who are here in person and for those of you who are on Zoom. Please stay around. Take an opportunity to meet new people and get to know us. And there's some announcements in your order of service, and here's Drew.
Wow. I've been introduced a lot of times, but never with so much gusto. Okay. So, thank you, Paul. I'm up here to talk about the rummage sale, or whatever we're calling it, the pre-holiday regifting and repurposing treasure sale. We have posters. We have a lot of them, and we would love for you to take one and put it up somewhere where people can see it. We need people to come to the sale. We need you to bring stuff to the sale. Lots of stuff going on. It will happen November 11th, which is a Saturday, from 9 to 3 downstairs. We will begin drop-offs next Sunday. So Sunday is our first drop-off day. We don't want anybody coming on a non-drop-off day because there'll be no one to receive it. But starting at 9 o'clock on Sunday and then pausing for the service and then staying till about 1, we'll do Sunday drop-off, we'll do Wednesday night drop-off, we'll do Thursday morning drop-off, and then Friday, which is when is setup day, drop-off. Okay, keep sorting your stuff. I keep finding little things and I keep running them out to my boxes where I'm keeping things for the sale. Just yesterday I thought, oh, that can go to the sale. How exciting. I get kind of thrilled by it now. We still need volunteers. We have, Rose is going to be down at the table today, and I think we have over 20, I'm guessing. Rose would probably, which is really fabulous. There are some holes in our volunteer, and I'd like to just give a shout out to Jane. Jane just raised, maybe even stand up. Jane has taken on, she doesn't like the attention, but I'm going to give it to her anyway. Jane's taken on the role of head cashier, and we do need some more cashiers, and she's got it all sorted, so you need to, we're probably going to need probably 3 or 4 more people to sign up for the cashier shifts that will happen that day. All right, that's it. I hope you come. I hope to see you, and please, please grab a poster, just maybe a flyer, we'll call it, instead of a poster, and put it up someplace where people can read it. Invite your friends, invite your family, invite your neighbors. Let's just make it a success. Thanks.
Yip Harburg wrote the song, "Brother, Can You Spare a Dime?" that became the anthem of the Great Depression.
Once I built a railroad, made it run, made it race against time. Once I built a railroad, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime? Once I built a tower to the sky, brick and mortar and rhyme. Once I built a tower, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime?
During the 1970s, in light of the Watergate scandal, Yip Harburg wrote an additional parody verse for the New York Times. Jim Reimer and I wrote our own verse for the present times.
Once we had a Roosevelt, praise the Lord. Life had meaning and hope. Now we're stuck with Nixon, Agnew, and Ford. Brother, can you spare a rope? Once we had Obama, he said, yes, we can. Then Trump broke the laws and the rules. He says he'll make America great again. Brother, vote, but don't be fooled.
This reading, Red Docs, Blue Docs, comes from the Empty Wheel blog. Grace Nyblade and I will do it as a dialogue between Jay Bratt and Donald Trump. Jay Bratt is the chief of counterintelligence at the FBI. He initiated and supervised the execution of the search warrant at Mar-a-Lago to retrieve the national defense documents stolen by Donald Trump. In the faraway land of Mar-a-Lago sits a once vaunted leader, now brought very low. His voice, once ubiquitous, lordly and loud, has become but a whimper, no longer so proud. You must return those stolen docs. You must return them, every box.
I don't have a box of docs. They're mine, you lying fox.
But then they came, and then they found docs aplenty all around. One doc, two docs, red docs, blue docs. Docs top secret, SCI. Docs with pictures from on high. Docs on armies, docs on friends, docs on missiles, docs on end.
I do not have the docs you seek, but if I do, they're mine to keep.
There's only one president, and as you see, you aren't the president, obviously. You filed lots of lawsuits and lost every one, and Biden, not you, is the man who has won. The law is quite clear. These docs are ours. You have no magic pixie dust powers. You must return those stolen docs. You must return them, every box. We'll come to you, or you come to us. You can return them on a bus. You can return them on a train. You can return them on a plane. You can return them at your house. You can return them with a mouse. You must return those stolen docs. You must return them, every box.
But I want them. They're mine. Taking my docs would cross the line.
Have you read this warrant here? Don't you see it? Isn't it clear? The judge agrees you have no choice. You must comply, so no more noise. You must return those stolen docs. You must return them, every box.
That brat I am, I do not like that brat I am.
Crimes have been crimed as we have deducted. Espionage and justice obstructed. The proof we believe will emerge box by box from rooms where you've kept them without any locks. The charges will follow and names will be named, and soon the guilty in court will be blamed. Justice is coming, says brat I am, and that once vaunted leader can only say,
Damn.
Molly Ivins, the American newspaper columnist and humorist, said that satire is traditionally the weapon of the powerless against the powerful. Joe Randazzo, the writer and humorist, said that satire must always accompany any free society. It's an absolute necessity. Even in the most repressive medieval kingdoms, they understood the need for the court jester, the one soul allowed to tell the truth through laughter. Watergate. The break-in at the Watergate office building took place on June 17, 1972, when 5 third-rate burglars broke into the Watergate building, which then housed the offices of the Democratic National Committee. The burglars attempted to plant listening devices and to raid the desks of Democrats, but they were caught and arrested. 2 days later, young Washington Post reporters Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein began their investigation into this event and published the results of the investigation in pieces in the Washington Post. By the summer of 1973, the Congressional House was investigating this break-in and holding hearings on their findings on television. It turned out that all the president's men were involved in this illegal activity. And eventually 40 of Nixon's staff members and appointees, many of them lawyers, were indicted, and most were sent to prison. Nixon, of course, resigned from the presidency because of this. I was studying for my exams. I followed the hearings every day on TV after a hard day of studying. What new outrage would be uncovered? Who would go to jail next? And inevitably, late-night comedians made comedic hay with the characters, the events, and the meanings of the Watergate break-in and its outcomes. "My fellow Americans," said David Frye, playing Nixon, "my administration has taken crime out of the streets and put it in the White House, where I can keep an eye on it." Many of the Trump jokes today reference the Watergate-Nixon scandal. You know what Nixon did wrong? He only broke into the Watergate Hotel once. He should have done it every day, then it would have been normal. What is the difference between George Washington, Nixon, and Trump? George Washington couldn't tell a lie. Richard Nixon couldn't tell the truth. Donald Trump can't tell the difference. After the Roosevelt room and the Lincoln bedroom, Donald Trump says his favorite room in the White House is the Oval Office. He thinks that President Oval was a really great president. I bought a copy of the DVD of All the President's Men, and I still watch it occasionally when I need to remember that democracy made its way past Watergate. I had spent most of my life faithfully voting on Election Day and occasionally donating to Democratic politicians. If the Republicans were in power, I figured that the forward march of civil rights and social justice causes that I believed in would go on pause for a while until power returned to people who shared my values. But I didn't take it personally. On the night of Trump's election, however, I began taking politics personally. I began living in fear of the changes Trump was spearheading. I was depressed about politics because I saw the MAGA Republican Party tossing the social justice outcomes I wanted straight over the nearest cliff. How to cope with fear and depression? I must believe that there are more people of goodwill in the world than evil people. I must believe that democracy is good and fascism is evil. But it appears that as many as 1/3 of the American electorate are MAGA Republicans, who think that if they give up democracy, they'll get a leader, dictator, ruler, who shares their racism and is eager to turn America into a Christian nationalist stronghold. Of course, they won't like it when their king does as he pleases and takes away rights they care about, like their freedom of speech, their freedom of the press, their freedom of religion, and their freedom to buy and carry guns. But how do you convince Trump's cult members, the MAGAs, that they won't be better off under a MAGA leader like Trump? Many of these citizens don't pay much attention to evidence. They're willing to die in greater numbers as long as they have the freedom to stay unvaccinated. They're willing to live in greater poverty and die at an earlier age to stay in a red state with lower taxes. They're willing to live without a good education, good health care, or good jobs, as long as they can win the culture wars and throw civil rights, gay rights, and women's rights away. They're willing to live the lives their parents did without hope that life could be better because of their own actions. Peter was a partner of mine. When a washing machine broke down in Peter's house, I checked with a current issue of Consumers Reports for a list of ratings of washing machines that had been impartially and scientifically tested for value, reliability, efficacy, and so on. Peter paid no attention to these results. Instead, he went to Lowe's and asked a salesman to tell him all the features of all the washing machines in stock. He came home happily with the machine he chose based on the salesman's pitch. By a remarkable coincidence, that was the most expensive machine in the store. And it was number 17 from the top of the list of the ratings I had brought him. Peter and I were both inspired by listening to Bernie Sanders' speeches, and we both stood for Sanders at our neighborhood precinct caucus in 2016. When Hillary Clinton won the Democratic nomination that year, Peter switched his vote to Trump. I found that hard to believe, since I didn't think Bernie Sanders and Trump had anything in common. But I understand it now. Hillary Clinton spoke rationally and intellectually, but Trump tapped into the emotions and the worst prejudices of his crowds. Evidence counted for nothing to him and to the crowds. I'm afraid I still think like a psychologist. It's an occupational handicap. I know that if someone stays in therapy with me or some reasonable therapist for long enough, they'll learn hope for better things, and they'll acquire the personal power to change their life for the better. Of course, they won't necessarily share my values, but they'll accept more responsibility for their lives. But think for a moment about the beliefs that MAGAs would have to give up to vote for a Democrat. They would have to give up their belief that they are better than some others because of their birth. They would have to give up their belief that they are entitled to more than some others because of their birth, without having to earn more than others. They would have to give up their belief that if they are angry, it's someone else's fault, and they are entitled to their anger. They need to stop believing that being angry entitles them to take whatever violent actions their anger inspires. They would have to give up their belief that if they feel like beating someone up, they're entitled to assault someone to teach them a lesson. And they would have to give up their belief that God wants them to punish their children physically because they were punished physically. These are a lot of beliefs to ask someone to give up, and those are only the beginning. You ask for MAGAs to give up a lot when you ask them to vote for Democrats, and you probably can't prove things will improve since they don't believe evidence. Here I turn to J.K. Rowling for therapy. This video clip, taken from the movie The Prisoner of Azkaban, shows Remus Lupin, who was the teacher of the Defense Against the Dark Arts class at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, teaching his class how to fight back against a boggart. This gives his students practice in facing their fears. Play the clip.
Intriguing, isn't it? Anyone like to venture a guess as to what is inside?
That's boggart.
Very good, Mr. Thomas. Now, can anybody tell me what a boggart looks like?
No,
Boggarts are shapeshifters. They take the shape of whatever particular person is the most. That's what makes them so
Terry, Luckily, very simple charm exists to repel a boggart. Let's practice it now. Without wands, please. After me. Ridiculous. Very good. A little louder. Very clear. Listen. Ridiculous.
This class is ridiculous.
Very good. Well, so much for the easy part. You see, the incantation alone is not enough. What really finishes a boggart is laughter. You need to force it to assume a shape you find truly amusing. Let me explain. Neville, will you join me, please? Come on, don't be shy. Come on. Come on. Hello. Neville, what frightens you most of all?
Professor Snape.
Sorry?
Professor Snape.
Professor Snape. Frightens all. And I believe you live with your grandmother.
Yes, but I don't want that boggart to turn into her either.
No. It won't. I want you to picture her clothes, only her clothes, very clearly in your mind.
She carries a red handbag.
You don't need to hear. As long as you see it, we'll see it. Now, when I open that wardrobe, here's what I want you to do. Excuse me. Imagine Professor Snape in your grandmother's clothes. Can you do that? Yes. Wand at the ready. 1, 2, 3. very most and turn it into something funny. Next, Ron. Concentrate, pace of feet. Be brave. Wand at the ready, wand at the ready.
Ridiculous.
Yes! You see? Very good, very good. Marvelous. Absolutely very, very enjoyable. Balbaci. Next. Come on. Show us what you see. And next, step up, step up. One. Ridiculous! Right, well, sorry about that. That's enough for today. If you'd all like to collect your books from the back of the class, that's the end of the lesson. Thank you. Sorry. Sorry, go on. You can have too much of a good thing.
So let's take Remus Lupin's advice. Let's all take out our magic wands or our magic forefinger and picture an image of the thing or person or event that you most greatly fear. Have you got that image? Now, picture what you'd like to turn that fear into through laughter. Now, wave your magic wand and say the magic spell. Ridiculous. Ready? Ridiculous. Freud defined depression as anger turned inward, but it can also be fear turned inward. Remembered pain permitted to grow and take root in the soul. The thoughts and feelings created by an evening spent watching the political events of the day, and now the legal events of the day, can be conquered by mindfully summoning my community. I cannot conquer injustice or intolerance or dangerous, hateful speech alone. I cannot stop others from believing that trans people or black people or Jews are not the enemy by using rational thought and rational discourse. That causes the MAGA crowd to double down on their hateful beliefs. But I can support and repeat the jokes, the satires, and the parodies that convert our fears and depression into tolerable, even funny endings. Laughter is a magic weapon against fear. Satire is a magic weapon that allows us to convert ourselves and often others into a calmer, more rational person, better prepared to face the work of the day and the social work of the day and the social justice of the day. Of course, laughter isn't the only or even the most important weapon. Linda Allen wrote a song that I continue to find meaningful. Laughter keeps us sane, but to change the world, we have hard work to do. Well, people, these are hard times, about the hardest I have known. And the headlines in the paper sometimes chill me to the bone. And we look for easy answers, some new words to see us through. But it's a thin disguise till we recognize that there's hard work to do. You can believe in Jesus or God on high. Believe in me as I believe in you. Believe in the light at the end of the tunnel. But there's hard work to do. Hard work to do. Hard work to do. Put your faith in the future, but your hand on the plow, 'cause there's hard work to do. My community is my safe space, and often laughter is my best contribution to it and the best I can take away from it. And this is by Randy Rainbow. Whenever I'm too depressed to deal and the quote-unquote fake news is too real, I exorcise the stress inside my brain and take a much-needed panic-induced medicated stroll down memory lane. I miss manageable scandal, the kind that I can handle, without a lot of vodka and a Xanax haze. Good old innocent fluff, like that Watergate stuff. Yeah, those were the good old days. I miss Iran-Contra pardons and presidential leering, when political commotion felt like just a phase, like Barack's disrepute for the wrong-colored suit. Yeah, those were the good old days. I pour me some tea and then I turn on my CNN, at least while my patience will allow, remembering the simple things like tax fraud and whiskey rings, and wondering where's Anita Bryant now. I miss her. I miss Hurricane Katrina and Anthony's pictures and that darling girl Kim Davis when she came for the gays, or Dan Quayle's potatoes, John F. Kennedy's women. Yeah, those were the good old days. I'd gladly trade in Jared Kush for just one more Bush from those good old days. I miss moderate decorum. I miss Rick Santorum before all the sleaze and Huckabees and dossier. I miss Saddam Hussein. I miss Monica's dress. Yeah, those were the good old days. I stand in my shower stall drinking more alcohol and dream of the good times we forgot, when hope was inside of us and all that divided us was, did O.J. do it or not? Even Mel Gibson seems charming again. I miss Hillary's emailin'. I might miss Sarah Palin, back when all the greatest punchlines were Tina Fey's. Now the punchline is, this putz, and the jokes are on us. Yeah, those were the good old days. I'd take 100 Hillarys for just one reprise of those good old days. The Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act of 2002 required candidates for federal office to identify themselves in their ads on radio and TV. Now, ads must end with the candidate taking 4 seconds to say, I approve this message. Roy Zimmerman says that we, the voters, need a theme song, and he proposes this one, which I will read to you as a poem. I am the donut lady. I am the civil engineer. I am the tractor salesman who's a stand-up comic at his daughter's wedding. I am the court reporter. I am the guy in the sandwich suit. I am the 3rd grade teacher, and I approve this message. I am the dental hygienist. I am the undertaker's son. I'll be the undertaker when the undertaker has been taken under. I am the tattoo addict. I am the runner-up Miss Maine. I am the ice cream vendor, and I approve this message. I am John the Baptist. I am Nancy the Presbyterian. I am Jerome, the Jewish Unitarian born-again Buddhist Wiccan agnostic. I am the banjo lawyer. I am the laptop Kerouac. I am the NASCAR widow, and I approve this message. I am the conspiracy theorist, and I know 5 other conspiracy theorists. What, you think that's a coincidence? I am the precinct walker. I am the polling place volunteer. I am the statistician, and 4 out of 5 of me approve this message. And I am Yip Harburg, saying, it don't matter how high the throne, what sits on it is the same as your own. And I'm Molly Ivins, saying, what's the difference who's in that chair? Change doesn't come from there. Change comes from here. I am the huddled masses. I am the amber waves of grain. I am the toothless carny in the shooting gallery at the county fair. I am the singer, songwriter, waitress, and I am another mother for peace. I am the assistant scoutmaster, and I approve this message. I am the White House switchboard operator, and I approve this message. I am the Arabic translator discharged because I'm gay, and I approve this message. I am the Arabic translator recommissioned at full pay, and I approve this message. And I am the registered voter from Arizona's 8th Congressional District, and I approve this message. I am the last man to die for a mistake, and I approve this message. I am the 92% of Americans who think we're on the wrong track, and I am the 8% of Americans who say things could be worse. And I am, and I approve this message. And I am, and I approve this message. And I am.
I'm Barbara Gilday, and this is Marion Bedell. Today we're saying goodbye to Marion from Bellingham because she'll be moving tomorrow to Edmonds to live in an adult family home there. Some of you haven't been here long enough to get to know Marion very well, so I'm here today to tell you a few things about Marion and her life. Her good humor. Marion had a varied and colorful career in water management, amongst other things, traveling to many countries, developing countries around the world. She wrote about her career and her change from being a man to a woman in her book called None of the Three. Moving to Bellingham, she met Ruth Ashworth, and they became beloved partners, often inviting newcomers to come into their home. Marion was heavily involved in democratic politics in Bellingham. Things like rank-file voting, moving to amend the Constitution, persons versus corporations. She was instrumental in stopping the development of a power plant in Abbotsford, which would have had very detrimental environmental effects on both sides of the border. She was a frequent speaker, very informed speaker, at the City Council in Bellingham. And as her good friend Ann Stevenson said, she was probably known by everybody in Bellingham. At Buff, she created our first website. She helped me and others with our computers. She was part of the welcoming congregation. And as a greeter, she welcomed many, many newcomers to Buff, including me 23 years ago. And she gave the best hugs and back rubs. Many hands and hearts have helped Marion in the years since she has been declining in memory. Ann Stevenson, who's done so much for Marion, says a lesson she learned is, you may think something's going to be really hard, and often it is, but the payback is exponential. Marion can be stubborn. But that's often how you got things done, right? Now in her declining years, we notice how sweet she is. Notably, she always thanks people for what they do. Her southern charm, her good humor, her graciousness and generosity within her means are what stands out in Marion now. Recently, I took her for a walk down at Lake Padden. She took her harmonica with her, and I saw a group of about 8 people from Vancouver and asked if she could play for them, and they happily agreed. Marion was just in her prime. She played with gusto, and they clapped and laughed and smiled and thanked her and said, you made their day. Yeah. So I want to have us play a video. Are we ready with the video of Mary playing? Okay, here comes Marion playing the harmonica. That's for you, Marion. Yeah. Please come down to the coffee hour afterwards and say a few words to Marion and tell her thank you for something that you've experienced with her. And enjoy some special treats.
Marion embodied so much of what is good at Buff. Her activism, really well-informed activism as a water scientist, is part of why we have clean water in Bellingham today. And then she brought that practical sense along with a deep appreciation for her community at Buff, who welcomed her, to do all she could to make sure that the wonderful message of inclusion of Buff could be shared with more people at Buff. So she contributed both inside and outside this community. And Buff was largely her only family, and so she will be missed. However you choose to support the mission of this congregation, and I know it's in many ways, it is so appreciated. As the ushers come forward, know that your financial gifts are important, but your whole life can be as the song of giving and caring and doing what you can with what you have. Of course, voting is another way that you work toward the good of this world and fulfilling the mission of this congregation. Please vote, and please rise and sing.
That you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wait upon a star and wake up while the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where
Thank you for sharing your gift of music. We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we sort the noble from the wicked. We fight all habits, corrupt and vile, but still don't have them kicked. We haven't figured out the trick or the culprit and the cheat, but on we go. With tricks or no, we shall not call retreat. Let us stand together and sing Circle Round. Let's circle together. Let's circle round together.